I woke up very unhappy. Dude, I'm very scared. I was very scared and uncomfortable. I was scared. I did not have fun watching the movie. I'm just like panicked. Goosebumps. Scared. I want to leave. I think in terms of scared, I was very scared.
All right, folks, crack your White Claws or your Trulies. Take a big, tasty suck on that Nick stick.
Dude, it sounds like you can't say that.
What's a Nick stick?
It's like nicotine, but...
All right. Strap in for your second ever episode of Two Men and a Baby, the half-hour-ish horror show where three best friends, myself, Will Dubs, to my left, Abbie Krinsky-Rogoff, and to my right, Brendan Fletcher, will discuss a new horror movie each week. We're each going to give our own synopsis in exactly one sentence, compare it to the actual one so at least you know what it's about. We'll give our initial thoughts. We'll creep down into the spoiler room, and then at the fucking end, we'll give our final review, and it hopefully won't take that long. This week's movie is Saw X. Brendan, kick us off.
Alrighty.
I meant sing the song, dude.
We don't want to hear your opinions.
Why are you here?
I thought you guys might want to. Okay.
2 men and a baby. Oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.
I want to start by just saying it's more like Saw Latinx. Am I right?
That's good.
That was good. Also, if you're just joining us, we're called 2 Men and a Baby, and the baby of the group is Abbie Krinsky.
Wow.
And if you didn't know, Abbie Krinsky does not like horror movies.
Do not.
He gets scared.
I get scared.
He
This
lies.
one, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Because horror is honestly maybe not what it was. But
I agree.
I still could have had more fun if we saw like another movie.
Yeah, I thought this was a good movie to follow up with, because I think the first, and please listen to the first episode we watched, Talk to Me, great film. It was more of a traditional horror movie, and this movie felt like, I mean, it was like a big blockbuster. We went in with no expectations, and we're gonna get into it. But first, let's start up with the synopsis.
Sounds like you just buttoned your top button.
What does that mean? Is that an innuendo?
Yeah, I don't
Was
know.
that like an ASMR thing?
Girl, I'm going to take you home and button that top button. All right. First synopsis. Go, Will.
All right. Jigsaw is back like he never left, and this time he's helping us piece together the moral puzzle about the value of life. And the centerpiece might just include waterboarding Mexican children.
Loved it. Thought it was perfect. I'm gonna go now. After being hoodwinked by a group of con men, can we start over?
No.
Abbie, you give your synopsis.
Okay, mine is, wow, they made another Saw movie, and dude's got cancer.
I like that. All right, this is mine. After being hoodwinked by a group of con men posing as doctors, a terminally ill Jigsaw returns from medical leave to get his buzz on in Mexico.
Wow. Brendan, you really do have a future in synopsis writing.
Sammy synopses.
It's crazy. It's impressive.
Okay, here's the actual one from Googs. Hoping for a miraculous cure.
Wow. Steve?
What?
Steve Kerr?
Yeah. Hoping for a miraculous cure, John Kramer travels to Mexico for a risky and experimental medical procedure, only to discover the entire operation is a scam to defraud the most vulnerable. Armed with a newfound purpose, the infamous serial killer uses deranged and ingenious traps to turn the tables on the carners.
All right.
Well, what did you guys think?
Well, let me start by, so we saw this at the Regal Battery Park. It started out with Will taking out a full mortgage on his house for the concessions that he bought. Like 3 hot dogs. At first I heard her say, sorry, we're out of hot food. And then he came back with an entire knuckle full of hot food.
2 hot dogs,
Yeah.
nachos with the nachos, warm cheese.
Now, are you guys candy guys when we're at the movie theater?
Never. Unless I'm sneaking it.
I am a massive Sour Power straw guy. You know, like the bodega Sour Power straws?
Are we sticking that into the soda and we're drinking, or what?
Whoa. Like the guy in the baseball game with the hot dog. Did you see that? He puts a straw through the hot dog to clear a hole in it, then pulls the straw out. Hot dog contains its same shape. Then he puts the hot dog in the
beer.
soda and drinks
the
the
soda.
fucking, or it might have been a beer.
I think it was
So
beer,
it's called
yeah.
that's called a glizzy slurp, a glizzerp. Sip in on that glizzerp.
Dang.
Wait, the other thing as we got there is Will demanded that we get. It was like an empty theater, and Will, like, you know the meme where the guy goes into the urinal and there's only one guy peeing, and you go right next to that guy. That's what Will demanded, that we get the 4 seats next to the only couple that had booked seats there, because he's like, I can't be off center, dude. I hate watching movies off center.
And you know what? I was the person next to them, and I liked my seat. It was perfectly centered.
Yeah, did you bond with them?
No, she was facing the other way.
Ooh.
I wonder what people thought of Abbie. Abbie was taking notes during some pretty fucked up parts, and I'm just like, people are like,
He's like, oh, that's how you scalpel
build
somebody's
that.
brain.
So that's the material you use.
Yeah. Carbon fiber rods. That'll really pry the granular open.
So that actually does go quicker than I thought. Oh, nice.
All right, no, but seriously, what did you guys think about the movie? Because I want people to know that we're the short and sweet show.
Yeah, with this kind of movie, it's just like, why can't we just all be happy? Why do we need to do this to each other?
I actually think that this was one of the happier ones because it took a different format, just straight up revenge flick, which I was not expecting. It was like they committed to that like first half of like, we're gonna make you care, and I mean, it was utterly preposterous in a good way. I think they finally leaned all the way in.
So I'll be honest, I've only seen Saw 1 and 2. So from my experience with Saw movies, they've never made Jigsaw the main character in the sense that he's the guy that you're rooting for, right? He's always like the moral compass. He's always the guy that's like, he's, you know, trying to better the society by, you know, running them through the gambit of these like horrible torture games. But so it was like the first experience I had where it's, you know, he's the main character. You're rooting for him, which is weird because he still, you know, is torturing people. So it's like a weird balance they had to strike. I mean, there were some parts of the movie, just generally speaking, that were funny, and which is fine. Like I enjoy that in a horror movie, and especially seeing it in theater. I love like being a part of a big laugh with the crowd and stuff. But I don't know, man. There were some parts of dialogue and just props.
Dude, Lisa and I were laughing a lot.
Yeah, but like dialogue that was definitely not supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
Like you can argue it was, but there were no context clues that told me that. Like there were, when there was moments that it was funny, and I was like, okay, they intended that to be funny. There was other parts that I was just like, I don't know, dude, this is
That's
crazy. Yeah,
I totally agree, and that's my thing. I think with a lot of these, it's like yes, they could have been meaning to be funny, but I think that a lot of the times it's that they're trying to toe a line, and that's my problem with these movies. Like, don't toe this line between being like a real revenge flick and being silly, like tongue-in-cheek hot, because they'll probably pull a tongue out. But they like. This one was like, I don't think they were trying to be funny for some of the scenes because they're trying to make him like this cool guy that we like. And so I've only seen the first one. You've seen the first two.
Yeah.
Will, how many have you seen?
So I saw 1, 2, maybe 3, and the Chris Rock one.
Okay, Spiral.
With one
Does that count as 9, or was there also a 9?
I don't know what numbers.
Okay.
But also there's a movie called Saw the Final Chapter. Fucking liars.
Yeah.
But I definitely saw one in the middle, which I feel like adds.
I think I did too, but I can't
like
remember which
6,
one it was.
I don't know. I was like, I need to see what this is.
They
about
had some
these
real
days.
bad ones, though. I know that for a fact.
So
yeah.
and
really frenetic editing and crazy, like horrible. The one thing this did that it was linear. The other ones are like not at all.
Really?
Because what happens in the normal the normal sort of like narration of a Saw movie is they find themselves in the torture chamber, and then you go into their backstory, like how they ended up there, each one of them, you know? So it's like
They try to be like smart about the way they write it, and it ends up just being chaotic storytelling.
Yeah, right.
This movie is really just like Jeffrey Dahmer meets Rube Goldberg machine. Isn't that sort
I
of
actually
like the
think
whole Saw franchise?
Yeah,
is really
true.
just that. Is it always clear that they're all bad guys? Like it's always a Dexter type of like he only kills bad guys?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't
It's
know
people
that.
who don't value their lives.
I'm realizing this is going to be an ongoing
That
theme for the show. I'm like, I saw the first one. I fucking repressed it. I don't remember anything from the first one. I just remember like one person had a key in their forearm. But
So to your point, though, I just want to touch on like him being this like Dexter like character where he's teaching them a lesson for their own good and stuff, or he's ridding the world of bad people. I think for this movie they really they really leaned on the whole he is doing this for the betterment of the person he's doing it to and the betterment of society at large. Where the first couple,
Nah, that's still the
he
thing.
was still a villain though. He was way more a villain in those movies.
Did we
So I
find out?
disagree. So I think it's almost like the part 1 is like Silence of the Lambs, and this is kind of like Hannibal, right? Like where it's like to your point about the story is about Jigsaw, but Jigsaw was likable in a way that Hannibal was likable. Not for Hannibal was more personality. Here it was because there was a moral compass or a message that he was trying to convey, and it was always about valuing life from a person who cannot have theirs anymore.
Yeah, but we were never on his side in the first movie.
Because the story was told via the characters.
That's all I'm saying.
You don't know that they're bad people for 90% of the other Saw part 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of revealed later that,
When do we meet John Kramer? In the first one or no?
well, you hear his voice, but you don't meet him. You see him in the last frame of the movie. At the
You might
very,
see him at the
very
very
end.
end. Yeah.
When he gets up, he's the body
Yeah.
in the middle.
But he's just a voice over a loudspeaker in a room for the whole movie.
Also, to clear up just
spoilers for part 1 if you guys are planning on watching it tonight.
Yeah, true. So,
we've been in that spoiler room since 2004, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, dang, dude.
This is the naming structure. They got Saw 1 through 6. Then Saw 7 is Saw 3D. Then Saw 8 is Jigsaw. Then Saw 9 is Spiral. And then Saw 10 is Saw X, or Saw Latin X, as I call it.
I actually like the Saw Latin X because I like that they brought the Saw franchise to Mexico. I think that's what the Saw franchise was missing. I thought that's what it needed.
They have such a skill at being like, we're going to take the Saw franchise to Mexico and have Mexican characters, and somehow none of the main characters or anyone with any power will be Mexican. They will be white as fuck.
Yeah.
So,
and you can
first
tell
of
all the Mexican characters were written by white people, dude.
Oh, my God.
Sorry, this is like it's kind of a spoiler, but it doesn't matter. But the fact that literally a Mexican got waterboarded is like
Insane.
So Saw has weird color palettes in general, and you know how there's that cliche about like Mexican TV shows and they just slap that orange. They could not have had more of that filter over
true.
It was
the
like
Breaking Bad
no,
filter.
it literally. You know how there's Narcos Mexico? This was Saw Mexico, dude.
I fell asleep twice.
All right, yeah. So getting deeper into what we thought about it, Brendan fell asleep 2 times.
Yeah, I was tired. And the seats, I didn't even realize they reclined. Once those puppies went back, daddy going sleepy.
So this is going to be a bit of an anomaly episode, but we have 3 new segments we want to introduce. The first one is, and we've already kind of touched on this. This is somebody puts baby in the corner, and that baby is Abbie, where he gets into more detail about how scared he was. This wasn't particularly scary, but we'll hear from Abbie shortly. The second one is what we're going to call Rotten Estimato, where we try to guess, well, not we, specifically Brendan and Abbie try to guess the tomato meter score. I'm going to be doing a lot of the recommending of the movies, so...
Also, he's literally an addict. He couldn't avoid the Rotten Tomato scores if he wanted to.
I can't. I need to. We talked about this in a lot of length, and it was edited down, but I use it as a proxy to decide. So I will always know. They won't. They're going to try to guess. Unfortunately, we knew, because it was a fucking surprise, that this movie is at like 86%.
Because it was a surprise, because you told us.
Well, we hadn't come up with the bit yet.
No one wanted to know.
Well, I was just shell-shocked because part of the reason we chose it is because we were like, this movie is going to be hilariously atrocious. It's not going to be too okay that it wouldn't be fun to talk about. It's going to be horrible. And truth is, a lot of people kind of liked how it figured out its tone. The third segment is just at the end after we give our reviews, and it'll kind of explain itself. But just, would you recommend this movie to somebody? Yes or no? Should you see it or not? Consensus from the 2 men and the baby.
Would I see it? I saw it.
We
Okay, I will start. Wow, I came in hot there, and I
Good.
didn't have
I
a
like
strong
it. I
take.
like it. I like that confidence.
I don't think you should see this movie. I definitely don't think you should see any other Saw movie, probably. But this one, knowing that it's probably better than all of them, is crazy to me. But I don't think you need to see it. If you want to watch torture porn, like, you can watch The Pimple Popper on fucking YouTube.
That's
And
the opposite of torture. You're crazy.
Either way, I don't see the point in saying this, and maybe I am repressing some fears, but I wasn't even that scared of this, and I still was like, why are we doing this? That's my opinion. Please.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend this movie.
You slept through it.
I slept through it, and that might be something I have to bring up with my psychiatrist because you're sleeping through it, what? Psychologist or psychiatrist. What was I saying?
Would you see it, Brendan? What?
Would you recommend this movie? Would you recommend this film?
I wouldn't recommend this movie because I mean, listen, Saw 1, great movie. I recommend it. I love the way it was filmed. I loved like sort of the low quality production of it. It made it feel more real. It took itself a little more seriously. This movie towards the end, it felt like I was watching Goonies mixed with like Indiana Jones. It felt like booby traps. The torture, the porn era to me has outstayed its welcome. It's over. I felt desensitized to it, which it might be more of a commentary on my own brain, but if I were to give it a score, like a Rotten Tomatoes score, I won't because Abbie's shaking his head.
Yeah,
Not there
so
yet.
we'll move
we ain't
on.
there yet, but what do you think, Willie?
I disagree entirely. I 100% would recommend this movie, and I'll tell you why. People need to see the movies that we're going to talk about for it to make sense. That's the first reason. The second is, no, I actually would recommend
true.
it. I would recommend
That is true.
I legitimately had a good time, and frankly, when it comes to horror, that's the number one goal. Use very different reason from normally having a good time, but it was a fun little, dance, and I was laughing a lot. So I think that I was like with open arms. This is preposterous. And can we dip into the spoiler room right now?
Yes, let's dip into the
All
spoiler
right,
room.
guys. Who does the sound effect?
The spoiler room.
All right, we're down in there. And let me tell you why I would recommend this movie and why I think you guys are wrong about the line that it toes. At the very moment that these con artists are trying to figure out what to do, and the solution is to cut a dead woman open and use her instead of her clothes or, like the chain.
They almost
use
caught it with the chain.
Her intestines as a rope that all three of them used together. I was like, this movie knows exactly
That was amazing.
what it is. And this is going to kind of go against what I said last week. But some of the best, not even campy, but modern movies with these silly tones is like super serious, so that when these ridiculous things happen, it is funnier and you are supposed to laugh, I believe.
I agree.
Yeah,
I
I totally agree, dude. And I thought that scene was great. It kind of had that like Evil Dead, like kind of like funny, over the top nature to it, which I liked. What I had problem with weren't scenes like that. It were scenes that were just like. It almost felt like a Tim and Eric sketch. Like,
But that's why.
But it wasn't on purpose.
It was not on purpose.
No, dude. All right,
okay.
So this is where
Can I just, and then you can respond.
Please.
Let me just tell you what I thought about it. So there was a scene where like he's lying in the bed after the fake surgery, and she comes in with his blood work and hands it to him, and he looks at it and just immediately understands like the document.
He goes,
he goes,
my hemoglobin.
He talks about. He's like, oh my god, my hemoglobin levels are perfect. Wait a second, I'm cured. It's like, dude, what? It's
That's
like
it. If you guys didn't know, cancer is very simple. How much hemoglobin do you have?
You're a torture expert. You don't know like blood, whatever.
Okay, well, he apparently does.
But hold on, and after that scene, he got up, and then they had this shot that was filmed by like the cinematographer of Cialis commercials. It was so bizarre. He like went through the flowing curtains, looking out onto the Mexican landscape, and it was so weird. It took me out of it so much. I actually fell asleep during that part because it was so actually calming.
Well, and also, what's crazy is that you stayed awake for the first 30 minutes, which was just a St. Jude's ad.
I know,
Like
it's
the first
crazy.
30 minutes of that movie, I was like, what?
I was
is
like, I'm gonna
happening?
donate some money to this, dude.
This is insane. It's just like old guy cancer. Uh-oh.
So everything that you're saying makes me feel like you're making my point. So my whole thing is, if you don't have these absurdly trying to be tender moments about how the two serial killer mom, father, daughter situation or the Cialis cinematography, then some of the stuff with
Juxtaposes.
equally serious tones
You need a juxtapose
that are inherently ridiculous don't hit as hard to me. To me, that makes the intestine thing funnier. The waterboarding.
Sure, but you could do it in
Just
10
the
minutes.
child showing up, period. I was like, get the fuck out of here. This is
Also, this movie was 2 hours for no goddamn reason. Every
Yeah.
movie nowadays is 2 hours for no goddamn reason, but this one had no business being that.
Yeah.
long.
It's long, yeah. But I just want to go back to the form, the blood work. They loved printouts in this movie, dude. It's like, dude, it's a visual medium. It's a movie. Stop printing sheets out with font fucking 13 and shoving it up into someone's face so you can't read. What are
He
you
pulls
doing?
out at one point to prove that he's got her. He's figured out the scam and he's got her. He's like, I've got the sheets. And he pulls out a 3-column spreadsheet. In 3 columns.
it was
And
Excel spreadsheet.
It just said her name, deposit, and then a number. Like nothing else. Like
They loved printouts.
they love the printouts.
Like all the production, all the money they spent in production, they couldn't have gotten a tablet or something. They
Well-
couldn't have gotten like a PowerPoint presentation going with the monitor. Yeah.
first of all, I don't think they spent a lot of money on this.
Well, all I'm saying is, if you're gonna have the practical effects to cut someone's leg off,
That's true.
let's do something else than the
They do
Xerox.
deserve
pages.
credit for the effects. That shit looked
Yeah, that
gross.
was so. What did you think? Because Saw's known for the gruesomeness and like what scene was kind of the most signature Saw moment for you?
I thought, first of all, well, I guess I repressed the only one I thought I saw. So this is coming from nothing. I thought that the first one was great. The woman like getting her leg cut
I
off,
thought you
and
meant
then
the eyeballs.
no, the leg just like being severed on the floor, and then her trying to get the marrow out of the thigh, and then the fucking the one where he's doing brain surgery on himself, and it's just like first he pulls the little yarmulke off of his fucking the top of his head, which is amazing, and then it's like he struck oil, like it just starts squirting blood out. It was I thought that was hilarious.
One thing that is absolutely ridiculous is so his whole thing is like, we never kill people, they kill themselves. They have we're providing the element of choice.
Also, real quick, that is insane. That sounds like Aaron Rodgers, which is fucking like I'm vaccinated, I'm inoculated. What was it? It was
Inoculated.
I'm inoculated,
Damn,
and then
I'm
it was
2 for 2 with big words, baby.
so
That's my signature, by the way. I kissed the microphone.
but the whole thing about providing the element of choice is that you need to show that you value your life enough to show the willpower to overcome some obscene obstacle to progress. And every single time they do it, they fucking do it, and they just run out of time.
They fail.
They're like at the
love
1 yard
that.
line. So it's like, dude, like you're just fucking torturing
yeah.
people.
He's like, look, I need you to prove that you care about life, and also like, do it fast, dude. I got places to be.
Wait, also,
Yeah.
did you guys know who the woman was? From you probably
Which
didn't.
woman?
The
There were
like
multiple
daughter
women.
figure.
Oh, feral Kris Jenner.
Wait, who?
His daughter. It's like the sidekick that
That
just came
is
in.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah. Was
accurate.
she in a different movie previous?
All right. So in Saw 2, she's a drug addict, and she is dumped in a pit of needles. I
Oh,
don't-
that's right.
She's the survivor. She
The
survives.
drug. Yeah.
And fucking Jigsaw's message works in the sense that she's like, I value my life now, and I'm going to dedicate myself
Yep.
to serving a purpose, which is carrying out his thing. If you guys didn't know, this movie takes
Needless
place.
to say.
This is a prequel to one of the sequels.
She's the heroine of the movie.
Wow, that one stings.
Man, that's a
That,
What
that
a
one was on
prick.
point,
Way to inject that into the conversation.
dude. I'm literally getting drugged up.
We're more finished with it.
okay. But
Y'all,
so this was a
y'all better talk to me right. Jesus, dude. God bless you.
We just did 7 puns back and forth, and Will's contribution was burping into the mic.
No, I like it. I like it. Smells good. Smells good. Right
no,
across.
but yeah,
I'm right downwind from that puppy.
no. So it was technically a prequel to one of the sequels, because I think by the time of Spiral with Chris Rock, Jigsaw's already dead. So this takes place because it alludes to some of the later, like, we still have work to do.
Do we know he died of cancer?
But he's already a famous serial killer. Yes, as the audience, if you're a Saw fan, you're supposed to know he died of cancer already.
Whoa.
And honestly, I think this is a big commentary on how our healthcare system is perfect right now.
Oh, there was instead of Saw X, it was almost Saw Q went on it for a little while. They were like, big pharma, big pharma.
So I said to Lisa when she was trying to figure out like what's his motive going to be, I actually thought, and this is probably me being wired still for Talk to Me movie with an allegory. I was like, well, he's going to get saved by alternative medicine, and he's going to enact vengeance upon all the mainstream doctors, and the healthcare system that couldn't take care of him. And this movie is going to be I was like, that's why the critics liked it, maybe. It's going to be a anti-big pharma thing. And then it was like, no.
That's too heady, dude.
Yeah, watch out, Fauci. He's coming.
The only thing that was heady about this movie was when the heady got cut off.
Wait, real quick. On the Kris Jenner character in it, I feel horrible because I'm not trying to punch down on appearances, but the first time that they showed her, because I didn't know that character, I've never seen it, I thought it was someone wearing someone else's face. I'm dead serious. I thought it was some Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit, and then it was just like, no, that's not the horror part. That's just her face, and I feel bad saying
just
that.
the woman, the way she looked. Yeah. I hope she never listens to this. She won't, but I hope
Kris
she never
Jenner,
does.
she's a big fan.
No, not Kris Jenner, the lady that we didn't even bother to look up her name, the actress.
Yeah, well, she's her 5 movies are Saw 2 through 7.
Let's move on.
The funny thing was, like, all the worst jokes were the ones that were like, we wrote a joke. You know, when he was like, she was like, how about fuck you, I win, you lose, or something. I don't know.
My favorite line she said was like, she's like, let me put it in layman's terms. Your head's gonna get cut off.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, I laughed at that. I thought that.
No, but that's good.
No,
So
because I was thinking because Jigsaw goes through the whole explanation. He's like, it's gonna pierce through your first layer of skin. It's gonna cut through your gelanium and your craniblaniums. It's gonna absolutely
Too many
sever.
napkins.
And she goes, you know what? Let me just put it this way: your head's gonna fucking get cut. And I was like, oh, that's funny.
She also, but
She
again,
should have had an accent.
that's an example of like where I actually feel like if this movie was what it could have been, it could have had all the same torture and it could have made that funny. Like, she's not a good actor. He's not a good actor. And the dialogue's bad.
I think he's a good actor. I'll be honest with you. I don't think the writing, like, I don't think you need to be a good actor in these movies. In a movie like this,
dude, this was.
I just think there's a better version of this, and that's my criticism. I don't hate
definitely.
it, but I think you can make the same movie, but better.
I'm
and
just
they
saying
didn't
this
do
is
that.
this is the best version of.
They did. It was called Saw 1.
This is the best version of Saw since Saw 1 in the sense that, like, Fast and the Furious, when they tried to do it seriously, like from 2 through like 5, they were like episodes.
Saw Tokyo Drift.
Yeah,
6,
stay
they're like-
tuned for Will's spinoff about Fast and the Furious because he could talk about it for 9 years.
Yeah.
Dude, Fast 5. Once they brought the Rock,
They
in,
should
it started
pivot
to
to
pop.
horror. Fast and Furious.
Yeah, did you see Tokyo Drift, dude? That's horrible.
James Wan, I do believe the director of Saw 1, I think did one of the Fast and the Furious movies.
One of my other favorite scenes was they go out. Honestly, the kid was so shoehorned in there. And at one point, when he first meets the kid is just banging a tire with a hammer. Like it is just like when you ask, like in a middle school play, when you ask like a kid to like kill time doing something, and it's just like the kid's banging on it with a hammer, and he's like, "I'm a white guy. Let me show you actually how to fix this tire." Right
Wait,
here.
the funnier thing about that was him fixing it was like pull.
Yeah, how
And
did
then
the kid know that was
he literally
pull?
he demonstrates pull, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the spinning tire, and I'm like, what did he do? Who did
Look,
what?
I'm a big time bike mechanic, and
Straight
most
around.
of fixing it is pulling the tire, and that just fixes all tires. And then the same thing, it was like they were supposed to like.
I'm surprised that the repair didn't require a saw. That would have been sick.
Wow.
Wow, would have saw that coming.
All right, guys.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like the way they try to save the cat with the Saw guy is like, oh, he like likes the little Mexican kid, and then also the girl who just says like 2 words to him. She's just like, oh, she's like, oh, mi familia, and then she like gives him a bottle of tequila when he's not allowed to drink, and then all of a sudden he's like, I fucking love her. I will die for her. Where's Gabriella?
Yeah,
He's terminal. He's trying to smash, bro.
She says 4 words, and like all of a sudden he's completely endeared to her.
He knows.
He's like, oh my god, Gabriella. She's...
Okay, then
I was gonna say there was a scene where they said that they've made a total of $8 million, yet everybody that's not the white lady was a veterinarian, well,
drug addict,
a janitor for a vet, a drug addict, and a prostitute, and and a cab driver.
That checked out because the idea was that the main white lady
she was
ripping them off.
Yeah, but still,
here's the biggest flaw of all of this: the richest woman running the richest scam had like a Nokia 2 as her phone.
Yeah.
What was that?
That was her trap phone, dog. That's where she hits the plugs for her underground cancer ripoffs.
The one thing I'll say, she's obviously horrible person, horrible scam. Brilliant fucking scam. Like, I don't even know, like,
Well
all
done.
the Saw guys things are so fucking weird and stupid, but like, that is a brilliant plan because the people die.
Well, I was
She
going to say they're
tricks
going to die anyway,
It's
so you
like-
don't need to feel as bad.
It could be like the bad guy could have been the plot of like a way better movie. Like that really checks out. Okay, then there's the death of
They kind of blew
Gabriella.
the load when she
Me
sawed
too,
her
dude.
sawed her leg off.
Yeah. of,
What's Valentina?
Like I was like, oh, that's amazing. To me, it has to go up from there.
Yeah.
And with him in the chair carving his own head off and doing the brain surgery, I was like, okay, that's good. I fell asleep during hers, dude.
Wait, which one?
When she got pulled up by the chains.
the trapeze artist?
That one was pretty good.
Yeah, the Cirque du Soleil swinging from the rafters scene.
Yeah, and I was
Now
like,
that's
but we're
your-
supposed to like her.
I did it. No, I liked her, but I was like, well, I feel like the torture has to be the higher stakes. There was like a space heater in front of her.
I will say it wasn't
like a
as
space heater.
Yeah, it wasn't as gruesome, but something about up to that point, everything had been incisions and cutting, and then it's just blunt force trauma, breaking bones slowly.
And also, what I will say in slight disagreement with you too, Brendan, is that I agree. They did not raise the stakes there, but I think that was to lull you into being like, yes, we like her, so she'll live. And then making her ultimate death worse. But then I really hated her.
She did die, you're right.
I hated her ultimate death, though. I know the point was that what is she, German, Norwegian, whatever she is.
Norwegian.
Whites are all the same to me because I'm woke.
I'm Norwegian, dude.
But when she steps on her, it's like, why not show a little neck crack or put the heel into her neck or something? Like, why
show
not?
a little neck.
Yeah,
Come on,
brutality.
sweetheart. Show a
Smile.
little neck. Smile. Show a little neck.
I did like the fact that she swung loose and then the things turned and they were like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was I think that worked, and then it was just like her death was underwhelming for sure. And then also the cultural appropriation of the brain guy getting killed with like the Aztec fucking heat mask coming over his face. And also it's just like if every single death was like a Mexican theme, like God, it would have been a worse movie, but like at least lean into it. But it's like, oh, one death has a weird Mexican theme and the rest are just normal Saw stuff. It's just, I feel like there were 2 people involved. This is my backstory, my back theory. 2 people involved in this movie were of different thoughts, and that made it not as good as it could have been.
All right, so
now we're going to go to Abbie. This segment we like to call Baby in the Corner, where Abbie's going to talk about his fright levels, how he was feeling during the entire movie. Were you scared, my man? Take it away.
Yeah, so torture porn, I'm realizing, I think, maybe we'll define by genres more in the future. This, I would not call this scary. To my fears, as I've stated before, are everything, but they tend to culminate on jump scares, dark, quiet, to loud, bright, scary. This was not much of that. There was blood and gore, and I don't find that scary. It was gross, sure, but yeah, again, not that scary. I'd say for the other babies in the crowd, you don't have to put your hat brim over your eyeballs to watch this one. You don't have to bring those fake shades and put them over your eyes and just say, no, I'm just trying to look cool, when actually you're scared to death. But
shout out to Day One fans too.
yeah, D1Fs. But
So this was an idea I thought of just now. I know how we like to give reviews of movies at the end of the show. what if we did some sort of scoring system for Abbie, like a fright meter or like a Binkymeter? How many binkies?
Binkies. Okay, so I would, and we'll go.
And because we did Talk to Me, we didn't do this last episode on Talk to Me. How many binkies would you give Talk to Me?
So this one, so the last one was eight binkies. This,
Ooh, out of 10.
Yeah.
That's a big boy binky.
Which was the same amount as the score. I thought it was as good as it was scary. Both high, but not the craziest.
I would agree with that.
This was 2.3 binkies.
Can I say there was actually one scene that made me kind of like, by my standard, it was when the van came out of nowhere. I was like, oh, it's a car.
How ridiculous was that scene?
So, and they didn't even really explain it. It's like, oh, because we're hiding well. It's like,
so just come up
also,
normal.
That's
hey, are you
selling the con more?
Yeah. I got scared by, and again, going back to my flaw, I think there was a lack of full intention on this movie, and I know that's better than the other Saws. Okay, great. A turd is better than diarrhea. You know, it doesn't matter. But
True.
It's a big,
That's
on my
probably,
gravestone.
it's probably getting better, like, reviews.
Right,
just because, relative.
But either way, I would just say that, like, some creepiness was like the pig face that she would wear, but it was like that was cool and that was scary in its own right. But like they pulled it out of a different movie, wrong movie. Like,
well, Saw 1, the two scariest and only kind of suspenseful scary parts in Saw 1 are pig abduction scenes.
Yeah,
I will say that those were supposed to be scary, didn't really hit. What could have been phenomenal was the security footage scene. If you do that right, you know when she's in her living room,
that was scary,
and he's on the roof. That kind of reminded me
that.
of Signs. You know when he's like,
you
look out the window and there's
he's
a
on
little
the roof. Yeah,
that could have been. It was almost scary.
That was a great scene.
It could have been a smidge better, but it still was one of the better ones in the film.
And I like that as a scaredy cat. Like I like. Okay, what I always wish I could see is 30 angles because I'm so worried about someone sneaking up behind her. So that was so cool to like take me. I was scared because it was dark. She was creeping around. Then you take me, a little baby, and say, here's all your fears, and it's actually nothing to worry about. There's no way that they could get behind her, and she sees everything. And then they still got me. That was cool. And then, again.
I will say, who has their cameras on input 1? Because she just turned the TV on, and it was secured. But that is
that exposure was horrible.
Yeah, you got to have Shark Tank on input 1.
A very good horror trope of the person seeing what other people are seeing of them is a very good dynamic to play with because they're realizing what they're like, okay. And then if you see it, it can be so good.
No,
I'm not going to say they fumbled it, but it could have been a little
that.
better.
Also, with the input 1 thing, the other funny thing, I mean, this is probably all the Saw movies, I'm guessing, but like, God, the fidelity of his cassettes. It's unbelievable.
I know.
This man's got
the bass on that recorder is
unbelievable.
Are you ready to play a game?
Yeah,
it's like, dude.
Wait, when she was like, put the scary voice on, I was like, oh, she's a fan.
Wait on, real quick. To your point, though, when you're talking about like horror, torture porn and stuff, like I feel like there are two categories. There are creepy horror movies, what I think you and I respond to better. Like I enjoy like The Exorcist. To me is like, though it does have the elements of that gore and stuff, it's more of the shock value of it, and like her walking down the stairs with with her arms.
Well, spoiler for the future. Abbie, that's me, has never seen The Exorcist.
Oh,
No,
I think The
still think
Exorcist
that
would be a
should
perfect cocktail for scaredy Binky boy.
No,
so
it is.
scared.
It's so fucking good, and it holds up. It's like that and Alien and The Thing are movies that from like
The Thing
70s and 80s that I'm like, this could have been made yesterday, and it looks better.
Yeah,
holds up.
But real quick,
but
I just want to say about torture, the torture porn, that era, there were like some callbacks. Like the whole pig thing is like, I think that's referring to how we basically torture, mutilate pigs and stuff. I think that's something to do with that. There's something there. And also when the taxi driver drives by the God statue of how he would basically rip people's hearts out, throw them down. He's like, I don't know why everyone wants to see this. It was like a meta. It was like a meta thing for people that are obsessed with just like the torture genre of horror movies.
All right, so let's
The
go
pig
full
thing-
circle.
Go ahead.
Sorry, let's go full circle with that. I'll take that in. I think my view on this movie was that there were parts. There were good parts. There were like really good parts. And again, I have no other Saws to compare it to, which is probably good for my life and my happiness. But it had the parts that it wasn't horrible. It was good. It could have been much better. And in fact, I go back, I don't think it was that good. But it had fucking parts, which I give it an applause. So with that, I will give it 5 out of 10 intestinal jump ropes.
Nice.
That is my review.
I like that.
No, see. All right, I still feel like you guys are struggling to decide what level of serious versus
No,
not.
You
serious.
can't
have our
explain to me
opinions.
why I should like the
No,
movie.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm
You
saying,
are, literally.
Okay. What would you give it out of 10 whatevers?
All right. Well, I gave it 6.3 brain tumors.
Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, Brendan, what would you give it?
I'm going to give this movie 4 big pieces of that sweet, sweet wall between Mexico and the U.S.
No, I don't like it.
What? 4 pieces of the wall?
Trump didn't finish it.
Okay, but you will with this review.
With these 4 pieces. I'm
Hold
going to
on.
start.
Is there one last brick in the wall?
the pieces, the pieces, the pieces.
4 pieces of rebar.
me.
All right, anyway, I'm just glad that Trump's he's going to get elected next. And guess what? Just became a new political podcast called Two Men and a Fascist.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming. Brendan, hit us with that song again.
3 men. Hold on, 1 second.
Wait, he added a man. Somebody showed up. Some guy showed up. And
Oh, no. I keep saying 3 men. 2 men and a baby. Oh, yeah. Yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby. Yeah, yeah.
2 men and a baby. Oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.